Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Rob Chafe, Mad Countification.
Chafe.
The pause was for effect.
Yeah, it worked. We're all affected.
It's the pause that refreshes in the corridors of power.
Oh, boy. Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death that you're listening to our show. We have a very exciting show because we have a table covered in pedals from Warm Audio. And on the line, we have...
Matt Desilet or Des.
Des. Yes.
Call me Des, guys. Call me Des.
That's where Des came. I'm like, how do you say your last name? It's been we're going back and forth as Des the whole time.
Todd's a little slow.
Yeah. Anyways,
He has the mind of a 75-year-old man.
Des from Warm Audio. Really, really excited. We have a lot to talk about because there's a lot of...
Thanks for having me.
You bet, man. You two monkeys, stop playing with these things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Wait, how many is that?
7.
7 pedals. Stop it, Tony.
Math is hard.
Math is hard for me.
Did he have a stroke recently?
Okay. So, look, so much to talk about. We're going to get right into it. And we gave away 2 of those Gibson books.
2, count them 2.
2. And
2.
I got the author on. He's now signed up for the show. Very excited.
That's cool.
Julien Bitton from France.
Ooh la la.
Yes. And
None of this is offensive, I'm sure.
why? Hey, they say ooh la la, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every day.
As someone who's kind of almost French by my last name in many generations, yeah, we say that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
But with an
One more
Italian
thing. I'm
accent,
sure French
ooh la la.
Yeah. I'm sure French people love to hear Americans with French last names say that they say that too. That probably makes it even better. So,
Yeah, indeed. Well, I'm excited about that. And on the flip side of that, when I got a hold of Gregory Randall, who was one of the Gregory Randall and Adam Johnson won those.
Yes.
And I was reaching out to him just to confirm, addresses and such.
That's always smart.
A lot of people move
Just
around
send them
all
out
the time.
wherever, to whom it may
that's
concern.
what I don't want to do.
I have a P.O. box
anywhere.
you can send everything
Perfect. Anyways, he sent me a little something. I wanted to share it with you guys real quick.
to. Okay.
He said, first of all, he's got some Would You Rathers coming on your way soon.
Yeah.
And Tony's going to be thinking of one. And he said, would you please tell Tony, Jared, and Rob and the whole crew how much the shows have meant to me lately. My mother-in-law is very ill, and she is like a second mother to me. Listening to the show is a time to relax, learn, and find a bit of distraction. Every show feels like I'm sitting with friends who are all over the world, and there's a connection I can't quite explain. Thank you to you and all the crew for all you do. You all mean so much to us.
Oh, well, that's beautiful.
Tony and I have talked about this in over the years, and Jared too, who's at Gibson making guitar pickups right now. When we set out to do this and stuff, the byproducts we did not know.
That's true.
We honestly thought we were just going to yip yak about gear and stuff, and we've received so many letters and notes and stuff along these lines, and it just wasn't a consideration. Not that we didn't want to, but we wouldn't think that this would. And I'm truly, truly grateful to those who share that back to us, because otherwise we have no idea, and it just makes the day. It absolutely makes our day. And Gregory, well wishes to your mother-in-law. I know this is tricky, and I asked him if we could share this because, it's very personal, and he's obviously sensitive about it. And he said, under no circumstances should you share that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But I said that because people lose people. And it's a difficult thing to get through, if nothing else, just to serve as a connection. Like, people aren't alone. Mental health is a big deal. Dealing with these things is really hard. And fortunately, he's got us bozos to help out with that. So,
Well,
thanks.
that's good. Glad to be a distraction, and hopefully it just takes your mind off of the important stuff. But albeit for an hour or so. But it's good, and it is. I agree. It is super nice to hear that we have some impact on people's lives in ways that we never anticipated.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much, Gregory, for sending that. Also, let's get on with the show here. Tony, we're going to start off with you telling us about what's going on in our music world this week. We're going to hear your pie hole flap for a little bit, and then we're going to hear from Dez, okay?
Okay. Well, I've been digging around here and there, and I realized in my current arsenal, I do not have an SG guitar.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
Like,
I've had
literally from.
I've had many.
Are you sure you just haven't found it yet?
Well, that's a distinct possibility.
Like another year from now, I'll be like, oh, that's right. I did
That's
buy
where that
that.
was.
The ironing board.
No, I actually am relatively organized, and I do keep a running list of guitars, and I don't have one. So I was just going to see. I am a big fan of like the SG Junior. I love one pickup guitars with a wraparound bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to, maybe go around the room here and across the internets and see what you think would be the best SG to have on in the arsenal.
All right, who wants to start?
Ooh.
Dez, how about you?
Ooh.
With the
man. I know. Ooh. Well, that's tough. I think you can't really go wrong with the tried and true 61 reissue style, right? Cherry or black. It's pretty iconic, faster neck than the Les Paul. Instant recognition, if that's the kind of thing you care about. But I'm going to go off to the side, and I'm going to say I really like all mahogany guitars with a P90 in the neck and a humbucker in the bridge. So I would go for something a little bit off kilter like that. And I'm also a fan of the wraparound bridge. I think they hold tune really well. And when they're set up right, they never fall out. So I would try to get something with a P90 in the neck and a humbucker, unpotted humbucker in the bridge, and let it rip. That would be my preference.
Okay, Rob, you're a more utilitarian guitar player, so I'm guessing you're going to want two pickups instead of one.
Well, yeah.
He has to play Journey and Toby Keith back to back. So
and I would not assume that I could do that with a SG really very well. Man, I kind of found my perfect SG. And I don't think I've showed it to you or anything. It's nothing special. It's about 10-year-old special, but it's one of the originally it was called a worn white or satin white or something.
Okay,
and somebody had relicked it, actually not too bad, and kind of buffed it up a little bit so it looks true. But anyway, it's 2P90, very plain and Jane. And
is that a batwing guard, the big guard, or is it just a lower half?
Just lower half.
Okay,
just lower half. Yeah, I had to think about that. And yeah, I will say that I don't like the big bat wing. I don't like all that plastic on the front. I prefer the small guard.
Me too.
But I mean, it's funny. SGs are such comfortable guitars to play. I like how they pitch the neck out, especially when you're sitting down with them, and just the profile and everything. I'm partial to that one I happen to have, but a buddy of mine has a 64, 65 that is just beat to crap. Originally had P90s in it, had been routed out years ago.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. You can't go bad with any of them, really. Well, no, I take that back.
Well, and there's a couple
it just
of
occurred
things
to me a couple that you could go wrong with.
over the
Yeah, you
years. I've owned, like I said, I've owned several, and I've always looked at vintage ones and even some reissue ones, and the things you have to really watch for are headstock breaks.
Yeah, well,
but also the body joint breaks.
Yeah,
and that's fairly common on SGs as well.
And they had lots of different, like the tongue or whatever. They had lots of different tenons.
There's some long tenon ones.
I don't like long tenon ones.
You don't?
No, I don't. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't like that whole thing.
You don't like the little plastic piece?
Yeah, I just don't like the.
Yeah.
Huh.
The internet loves the long tenon on Gibson. They love him.
Really?
better
The
content.
whole internet.
I will say so. I would definitely get a 2 pickup one though.
I know, but see, I love 1 pickup guitars.
Well, but
Matt, jump
can
in.
get
Don't wait on these
You
clowns.
can get a
Just-
junior for that.
They'll shut up if you start talking.
Just a Les Paul single cut.
No,
but I like the look of the SG Junior.
Okay. Well then, what are
Hey.
you asking us for? You're
I like the SG Junior. I think the SG Junior is a great choice.
Well, funny you should ask.
Ah,
Oh, hey Todd, do you have any thoughts on this? No. Okay. Cool.
63 white SG Junior with the
Oh, it's a.
half mustache guard.
no with the
Dog ear
compensated
P90.
tail
bridge.
piece.
We call that a lightning bolt bridge.
Sure. Well, it's not really lightning bolt at all.
My people call it the lightning bolt bridge.
It's kind of one. Anyways,
It is.
Yeah. So that's simple. I do not like SGs.
Yes.
They sit in the closet with the Stratocasters for me.
Why?
The weight, the balance, the weight,
Oh.
everything is just
standing
I
up.
really
I agree with you. I can't
do not
understand.
like
Sitting down. They're really comfy though.
I think that it like this one I would tolerate.
Okay.
I would tolerate that one. But
I wouldn't tolerate
last
it
time
at
we
that
were
price.
recording here, John said he's got the 62. Yeah,
That's a great
in cherry.
guitar.
And anyway, so he's got a 62 in cherry, and he said, "Hey, I was working on a solo bit thing," and he said, "Hey, why don't you try this one?" And I had it on. I might have played it for like 20 seconds to get this thing off me.
Really?
Wow.
I just absolutely hated playing it.
Huh.
I don't know why.
It's a great guitar. Too.
I find SGs very comfortable to play.
Standing up, including.
Tony doesn't.
It's the
stand up
headstock
for
thing that
hardly
bothers me.
anything.
Well, I've got a
That
big
and the
I've got a big belly, so it just
He's got a
sinks right in there.
built-in kickstand.
balances on it. Huh, how about that? That is convenient.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will.
You sat in a beanbag, right? That's the same thing.
Beanbag.
You
A
don't know what a
beanbag chair?
beanbag is? How old are
I know
you?
what a beanbag is. But
No, a
what-
beanbag chair.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, you don't
beanbag
sit
chair.
in a handheld beanbag.
That's what I was
you
like. What are you
beanbag.
talking about?
Anyways.
Wow, these youngsters.
I know. Whatever.
Well, I will consider it. I mean, I agree that 2 pickup SGs are probably more, I guess, more useful. But I do like that in particular. Like that's a white one with the half mustache guard.
yeah, it's super cool. And the dog ear
Dog ear
P90.
P90. I real nice, Clark.
Yeah.
You know the right one when it comes up.
I
You'll be
guess
like,
so.
Oh, that's
I guess
it.
so.
Yep.
I guess so.
Available from China
for the record,
$89.
I did own the Epiphone put out a TV. They called it a TV Silver run for a while. I sold that one at the guitar show, and I had that. And it was an absolute baseball bat for a neck, and
Those
I
are the
played it
ones.
like twice and said, I hate this. And I got rid of it.
I don't
Anyways,
remember that one.
well, it's okay. Anyways, well, that was fun. Thanks, Tony. Des, what's going on in your music world this week?
Oh man. Well, a couple things. So music in terms of playing and recording, getting some folks from an old band together and we're doing some remote recording, which is awesome. And it's really fun. But the fun part is that, the guy who's drumming is a great drummer, has really excited about his drum gear and his good drum gear and his good technique and everything, does not like to record and doesn't have any help. So we've been laughing around with our buddy Dave as he keeps sending us tracks that have all these problems, and we're FaceTiming to do mic placement, which is fun. But we're having a lot of fun mixing and recording that. In terms of gear, I've been really missing out on an amp that I sold a long time ago, and I've been creeping on reverb. I used to have a Boogie we talked about before, a little bit of a Boogie problem in session, but I used to have a Lone Star Special, one of the older ones that had tube rectifier, not a solid state rectifier. And I love that amp so much. And I am 100% sure I'm going to buy one again. I just don't know when. So I've just been missing the tone, but tried to replace it a few times with some Supra stuff, some Class A stuff that I thought would scratch the itch, but there's something about that amp. Maybe it's just having the dual channel, the kind of replicated channel with the drive. I don't get too crazy in terms of what my amp platform needs to be. So that amp just is kind of like home base to me, and whatever I'm playing out of, I'm just kind of missing it. So I've started the hunt for a Lone Star Special. So that's the big gear nerd thing that's going on this week. But other than that, recording, mixing, and producing.
What kind of music are you playing right now?
So I'm kind of rejoined with a band from my high school and post high school days. So my music background, started a band in 7th grade with some guys, and we really kept going until did our first tour like out of state junior year of high school. Like took spring break and like drove down to Florida. Our parents loved it. They were very supportive. They were not. They were pretty good, but they did think we were going to die. And we almost did, to be fair. We got in like 2 car accidents. It was wild. But we were in the sort of Warped Tour age. So that was in like 2004 to 2008 was when we were really, going out and playing. So we got put up with a lot of bands in the sort of pop punk world, but we were pretty indie rock, pretty solidly like, indie rock, post rock.
Okay.
So yeah. So we're working on stuff like that. Dad rock now. I guess we're a bunch of dads now. So I guess we're not talking about falling out of love. We're talking about changing diapers, I guess. So
yeah. Yes.
New song structure.
Well, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. Rob, how about yourself?
Oh, I got a prop for mine.
Ooh.
Yeah, I started to tell you about this, Todd. Then I realized, wait a minute.
Yeah. We got a show. You can do it at the show. Oh, boy.
New guitar.
Is that, now we have weird lights in here. Is that orange or Fiesta red?
Fiesta Red.
Okay. So why don't you tell us what you got here?
So this guitar,
You could have bought that one.
yeah, I could have.
Except it wouldn't be this one.
Except it wouldn't be this one.
Okay, go ahead.
So I saw this guitar listed on Reverb in early January, new from a dealer. And I was like, maybe I should buy it. I was like, because it's pretty much, except for one tiny little change with the fret size, it's what I would order. It's Tom Anderson T Icon, they call it.
So it's a Telecaster.
Yes, it's a Telecaster.
Okay.
It's their most faithful as far as having the bridge, the compensated saddles, brass, 3-piece, or 3
But mostly
compensated.
the shape of the guitar.
3 saddle.
Well, that, just, what else do they do? I mean, I'm trying to think what
And the
else they
neck
do.
and the head stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
And the electronics.
It's the guitar, the body size, everything. Yeah,
Roasted maple.
roasted maple neck, alder body, 2 pickup. It's meant to be a classic. Like this is Fiesta Red.
Yeah.
2 bolts.
2 bolts with the wedgie neck. Yeah, that's why they've been doing that for like a decade now. But anyways, so I saw it on there and I was like, man, if I was to order one, it'd pretty much be that. But no, it's brand new. Yeah. So it sold. And I went, oh, okay. Wasn't meant to be. Mm-hmm. So about a week ago, I went on Gear Page and I just typed in Tom Anderson T Icon, and what came up? The same guitar.
How much is a Tom Anderson T Icon Fiesta Red Telecaster?
A lot.
Okay.
This
It's
one,
a guitar show. You're going to have to give up the goods there, pal.
I think this one with the roasted maple neck.
What do you mean you think? You bought it. You didn't think anything. You know
no,
exactly how much
I got
that
it
is.
used. The new price I think was just under $39. So, and I saved a considerable amount getting it used.
I hope so.
And it was literally the guy owned it for 1 month.
Wow.
So yeah,
Didn't that concern you?
No.
Oh.
There is I would say half of the people that buy guitars like this,
Yeah.
they're doctors, lawyers. They just like owning them for a minute and then selling them off. And when I used to do retail, I would have guys do that all the time. They buy 2 or 3 Sirs from me, and then I
Is
talk
that Poly?
to yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I think it is poly finish, actually.
Actually pretty light.
it's some
It looks
blend
like
of
poly.
something. I don't know what it is. It's something they.
It's a blend of poly and myrrh.
What's the one where they can just put it in the UV thing and it cures?
That's
Polymer.
poly.
Oh, okay, well there you go.
Holly.
So, but anyways, yeah. But yeah,
The
there's
neck is really nice.
oh, it's a great neck. Yeah, it's so yeah. I mean,
And I actually like what kind of wood is that?
roasted maple.
It's super roasty.
It's super roasted.
It's like chestnut
Yeah,
almost in color.
it's very
Those necks
comfy.
feel amazing.
Yeah,
They're,
really
yeah,
are
they're so
great.
comfortable.
That
Yes.
is, I mean,
so stable.
in terms of Telecasters, that is a nice step up from a Fender version.
For sure.
Yeah, there's no in the
Oh, yeah.
the edge contours are much greater than what Fender uses, so it's a little more comfortable. I always the bottom of my forearm on a standard.
Especially one with binding.
Yeah, one with binding. I mean, it's just after I play that for an hour, I feel it on my arm.
Yeah.
The body's a little bit narrower.
The dimensions are actually identical to an actual tee.
No.
Yeah.
But in
That's why they
Todd's
call
world,
it an icon.
I'm saying, put it up against that one. It's different.
I would, well, yeah. Okay.
Not right now. We'll do it after. Okay.
So anyways, yeah.
Well, and you deserve that kind of a guitar because you are a hell of a guitar player, Rob.
Thank you, Todd.
Yes. Marginal human, amazing guitar player.
See now, what? He'll be nice for just a moment, Tony, and then it's like, nope, slap.
I pull you in. Anyways, okay.
that's terrible.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
delightful.
Okay, so let's move on. What else is going on?
I have something to share. So in my music world this week, I got, sometimes it's me up late at night is kind of a dangerous thing sometimes because I see something and I'm like, well, I probably should have that. And in this case, of all things, it was
What is that?
pretty cool. That's what it is. It's the Hot Tone tuner press.
Ugh.
It's a built-in tuner
Yeah.
into a volume pedal, which is also an expression pedal. And it's really cool. Like the things that this is able to do, it's built like it's got a great build to it.
Can you make sandwiches in it?
No.
No.
You might be able. Well, you might be able to.
I mean, that would
Anyways.
be. You'd have a pedal if you could make sandwiches.
So think
in
about it. It's a tuner. It's a volume pedal. It's an expression pedal. If you were to buy all three of those, it would be 3 times as expensive as that. Pretty cool. I played around with it a bunch. I think if you're like super heavy duty wah, and your full set, this is not your jam because it's like 3/4 size. So it's not like the little Dunlop minis where, you can't even feel the thing going up and down. It's like a 3/4 size in between a standard size volume pedal and a mini. But honestly, the built-in tuner thing is pretty slick. And it sits on the instep of the sole, as it was.
It is made out of metal, at least.
Yeah, the whole thing, except for the actual
Yeah.
the drive is gear, and I don't know if that's like spun nylon or plastic. It seems weird that it would be just plastic considering the rest of the build, but really an interesting little pedal. I said, you know what, I'm going to get that. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to let the guys see it and then decide.
Have you tried it yet?
Yeah, I've tried it. You can take it home and try it. I'm like that, Rob. I'm a nice guy.
Meh.
Anyways, especially for somebody like you who's got to, have all kinds of crazy stuff at your tippy toes.
See, me, I have a volume pedal.
An
Then
expression pedal and a tuner.
There you go. So,
Yeah. But that's all in one. Matt, have you seen these?
it's very grippy.
I have. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think it's wild, right?
Yeah.
I want to know. So coming from the side of working at Warm Audio, I want to know what like the backroom meeting was about that pedal. And I'm not insulting it. I think it's very cool, but it's like, who was like, you know what? Volume, tuner, expression, one shot. I think it's very cool. And, the reduced form factor, it's not like you said, it's not mini size, but I think it's very cool that it exists. That company, Hotone, is definitely still gets a lot of flack, but I don't know. A few people, I've played them a couple times and they don't make bad stuff.
No, their multi-effects units are quite nice. Played a couple of those. It's just one of those things. It's like, it's not a brand that anybody can hang their hat on. So it makes it difficult to say, yes, I'll take all this. And it also, the stuff is like really, really kind of ridiculously cheaply priced. I think this was $160. So, I mean, that's as much as I paid for my TC Electronic Mini tuner,
Wow, they saw you coming.
Oh yeah.
But I love that tuner. But this, so you bring up a good point, which is who is this made for, right, Des?
Yep.
So think about if we think about the move to smaller amps, actually like just going DI out from like a multi-processor unit, or say you got, if you rolled in with like this and like a HX Stomp or anything along those lines, it's like, what else do you need? If that is your jam,
100%.
So
100%.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about that in the world of pedals and guitar lately. So Warm Audio, we started in studio first, right? So, microphones, outboard gear, like preamps, compressors, EQ. And so in the recording world, folks who are doing a lot of recording, the phrase hybrid setup is really common. And what that means for people who don't know is a mix of analog outboard gear and in the box plugins. And for all the discourse online in guitar about, pure tube people versus pure modeler, things in between. More people I talk to, I think more people are hybrid. Mm-hmm. I myself am hybrid. I have tube amps. I have a Catalyst, which is my practice amp. It's awesome. I don't care what anyone says. It's cheap and it sounds great. I have an HX Stomp XL, which is great. I wish I had Helix stuff for when I was touring. I really do, because I lugged stupid amps around, like a TSL 100 and a 412, which was also dumb because we didn't sound like that. But boogie combos are like 70 to 90 pounds, which is also dumb for your back.
Yeah.
I think there's value in all this stuff. It all depends on what you're using it for.
Yeah.
Are you live? Are you just sitting in your room and enjoying the sound? Are you recording? I think there's value in all of these different kind of use cases.
And hats off to people who are doing it with like real design thinking in mind. This is a well-designed pedal. Form factor, functionality, looks, the aesthetic of it. That thing's aces, man, I think. But anyways, that's for the masses to decide now, isn't it? But I just thought I'd share that with you guys. Neat indeed. Hey, speaking of neat, what is a really neat way to link up all your pedals together, guys?
Tour Gear Designs patch cables.
Tony, I'm not finished yet.
I was going to say duct tape.
That's what I was looking for. But if you don't have duct tape, Tour Gear Designs patch cables is the best way to get that sorted out. In fact, with these 7, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've counted them many times already tonight. The best way to link these pedals up, if we were to put them in a row and play them all on at all the same time, which would probably sound amazing, would be Tour Gear Designs patch cables because of the different styles.
Yes, because some of these pedals have top jacks.
Yes.
Some of them have side jacks.
Yes.
Some of them even have no jacks.
Some of them have car jacks.
No, they all have jacks.
So they got the C shape, for side jack into top.
Yes.
And you got, or no, that's the S shape.
That would be the
that's
S.
the S shape. And then the C shape would be like top to top.
Top to
or
top.
whatever else.
Or whatever
and
you
in
wanna
all
do.
the different lengths. Oh my goodness, all the different lengths you have.
Millions of lengths.
Yes. So go to Tour Gear Designs patch cables. Load up your cart. You're not going to be sorry. And then when you go past that, you're going to get your coupon, put in the guitar knobs. You're going to save 15%. The kind folks at Tour Gear Designs want you to save money. And they help us do it because they sponsor our 4 on the Floor. So thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Tony? Let me get a little bit of this. 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. All right, Des from Warm Audio. Give us your 4 on the floor.
This is the part that has given me the most anxiety. I'm going to bring everyone who's a listener right now, I'm going to bring you behind the curtain of what it's like to be a guest. And I get the little prompt and I'm like, oh my God, I have to pick 4. And I have like 4 versions of 4, but no, I narrowed it down to 1. I didn't cheat. My first is a Kanji Eternity 9 by Love Pedal. It is my favorite. I guess if you play the Topology game, it's in the Tube Screamer family, with a little bit more options and kind of gets to the amp in a box thing too, depending on how you set it. And it plays really nice with longer scale Strat, Telly, and really nice with shorter scale Les Paul and mid scale PRS stuff. So my favorite Tube Screamer style clone, Kanji Eternity 9 Love Pedal. It's my first one.
In the family, Tubus Screamopulus. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Genus Screamers. And for those who really want to nerd out, I think it's closer to an 808 than like a 9 or a 10. So, So
Okay.
that's the first one. Second one, I chose. This is a little flavor of the week because right now I can't stop playing my 1981, my DRV.
Okay.
Love that pedal. I was really tough. There was a part of me wanted to put my Jetter Indigo Fuzz on there, which I like a lot. Very cool company. If
see
you've
what
never
you
played a
just did
Jetter
right
pedal,
there.
just yeah. Whoops. Wait, I
caught
thought it
that
was only
too.
supposed to be 4.
It's going to be
Sorry.
like 29 on
Sorry.
the floor here.
Yeah. 34 on the floor. No, I'm going with the 1981. It sounds awesome. I think for those who are really rat connoisseurs, as weird as that sounds, this pedal is so much more usable in the low to mid gain range. So it's kind of like cheating. And whereas maybe a rat might be distortion bordering on fuzz, the DRV is almost overdrive bordering into distortion. So I just get more texture out of that. So that's my number 2.
Got it.
My number 3, and this is a hard choice, but my favorite chorus right now, I'm a chorus guy. I like to have one all the time. Do I use it? Very rarely, but I am a huge fan of the Maxon Pack 9 Pure Analog Chorus. It's not one of the like vintage ones. You can buy one right now, new. I did a shootout at a pedal store one time where I played, and I'm not joking, like 14 chorus pedals. I bought 2. This was the one that was my favorite. I bought an Analog Man chorus because it was cool and it was there and it was used and I wanted to own it. But this was the best sounding pedal. So Pack 9 Pure Analog Chorus from Maxon. It has a bright switch, which is dope also. And it also, sorry, I'm talking a lot about chorus right now, but what I like about
you
is
do use it a lot.
I probably use it on 2 songs and I talk about it like it's really important. But what I like about it is usually in chorus, you have to choose that sort of CE1 sound or like the digital sound. And this one kind of does a good digital mimic for an analog pedal. It can go there, which is really cool. And then my last one,
It's pretty fine
this
for
might
a
be really
Pack
boring.
9.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Okay.
I did. And my last one is, I used to play a Boss DD6. I guess the DD8 is the current version. I know sometimes people like to poo-poo at, big box Boss stuff, but to be honest, for pedal board footprint, you'd be hard to beat that pedal for delay and options. And I know how to use it. So menu diving and crazy stuff like that. I mean, I know I can get a DD insert number here pedal to sound good in like 3 seconds. So those are my 4.
That's a solid choice, man. No funny business. You got down to it and also that's one of those boards that you can pretty much, if anything goes wrong, you can re-up pretty easily.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny, like the impression that I have not just going to say I have many leather bound books, but I have a bunch of vintage or boutique pedals that are very, there's cooler stuff, right? Like I could say the Analog Man, or I could say like I have a CE1. I have a 1977 CE1, right? Like they're very cool, but I kind of take this. When I read the question, I was like, utilitarian mindset, you're playing a gig. So I'm like, all right, these are the 4 I'm bringing to the gig. So
There you go.
Yeah. It's interesting because some people take that as like, desert island or like
Right, the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail, or if I could, I would. But I like the path you took. Smart.
I went gig. Yeah, I immediately went to gig. I was like, what are the 4 gig
I did the
pedals?
same thing my first time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing that with us. And speaking of pedals, boy, oh boy. All right, Des, time to talk shop about your pedals here. These are the Warm Audio pedals. And just to give you a rundown of what we have, I've shared that array on Instagram. But, Rob, why don't you count them off? What do we got here?
1.
No, not numbers.
2. Oh, okay. I thought we were doing that again. Sorry. Well, I'm holding the ODD in my hand.
Yeah.
So you want to start with this one?
Well,
You want to talk about all? What do you want to do?
You think about you listening to this, Rob. Here we go.
I would like
we got
to go
a
one and a
Warm
one
drive,
if I was
which is
listening.
sort of like a Send drive. We got the Ringer Bringer, which is like a Mogerfoger. We got the ODD, which is like a, well, and then we got the Neutron Phaser 2 and the Foxy Tone Box
Mutation
and the Jet Phaser.
2.
That's what I tried to say. And this is the one that actually I think got the most feedback when I posted this. The Bone Tender. Is that what this is called?
What a great name that would be, though.
It's not
I'm sure
bone
it is.
tenderizer.
I'm sure it is. The
Man,
Warm
you're
Bender.
gonna get me fired. You're gonna get me fired, not because of this, but because I didn't come up with that idea.
Yes.
You're like, Des, you can't get out marketed. You can't get out marketed on a podcast.
My guy called
trouble.
from the guitar knobs.
The Warm Bender. Hey, well, I am, that is my job during the day. So don't shoot the messenger here. All right. Needless to say, we've got a ton of fun in front of us. Rob, I think we need to address the hot potato on the table.
Hot potato.
Now, Des, our goal is not to put you up against the wall and make you fight your way back from it. But
I have a direct question.
that's why I said that, Des. Okay.
So Des, have you heard from Mike Fuller yet?
Ooh. So with Mike Fuller, how do I put this? He wears his heart on his sleeve online. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't think he is very hard to reach, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's aware of what you're doing, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. He has not. So if you're asking like the juicy question, like, are we being sued or something? No, no one is.
Yeah. That's
no one sent us anything to tell us to stop. You know what? I am really glad that you asked this question at the top. And this is going to sound like canned marketing BS, but it's the truth. If you want to buy a full tone pedal used or brand new from Mike Fuller and Jackson, dude, go buy it. Mm-hmm. Please go buy it. No one at Warm Audio is telling you that you shouldn't buy his pedal, that you shouldn't go on Reverb and buy a V100 whatever version for $99 or $120, or buy the new one. Do whatever you want. We're not here to poo-poo on anybody. And that, the fact of the release time is that when we came out with the pedal, they weren't available. You couldn't walk into a Guitar Center. You couldn't go onto Sweetwater. You couldn't buy one.
I think that's something that people are forgetting about. It's like he did say adios, Mogerfogers. And
nice.
That's one way of putting it. Well, and I guess that brings up another question then.
Yeah.
Now that they're back in production, will you continue production?
Oh, surprise, I'm back.
Nice. That was a good question. To be totally honest, in my role as product marketing, we have not discussed stopping. That's the truth. We have not said, we have not discussed stopping. Mm-hmm. That's the easiest way to answer that question.
Yeah. Fair.
I wouldn't say and man, I know that some people are going to hear this and they're going to go, oh, this guy is cocky. And it's really not. I swear I'm not. I've owned full tone pedals, right? I've owned a Super Trem, and it sounds awesome. And I love the pedal. Yeah, it's a great pedal. Right. I've owned the Wah, dude, crazy good pedal.
Yep. Still on it.
And actually I really wanted that rack unit chorus big time. I doubt he would take my call if I asked for one now, but maybe I could lie about who I am.
Rob will call him.
But,
yeah.
But thank you. Yeah. We'll talk about it after the podcast. So, I told you I was obsessed with chorus. So man, we're not really breaking a sweat about it. We're not trying to break any law, and we're not trying to confuse people. I have all of our pedals in front of me too, and there's a bunch of orange on it. It has our logo right on the front.
Yeah.
You'd be hard pressed to say you don't know what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be clear, anybody that just types this in, you would have to have a head injury to think this is like a fake. It's not. It's obviously your interpretation of a pedal that wasn't released or wasn't available at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
I really do mean it, what I said before. Buy whatever you're comfortable with, whatever will make you happy. Buy that product. Because honestly, the happier you are about the purchase, because we all want to pretend that all we care about is tone, right? But in reality, sometimes finish matters, logo matters, years matter, Goodwood era. Look at all the kind of smoke and mirrors and fairy dust around gear, But I'll put it this way. there are a lot of things that look like Fender Stratocasters out there, and people don't mind buying them, whether Fender makes them or not. So buy whatever makes you happy, you know?
Yeah.
That's my message. So
I think that is a great way to get into what the philosophy is with Warm, because if people aren't familiar and they start looking, they're like, wait a minute, I feel like I've seen some of these before. Walk us into what Warm's all about.
Yeah, so Warm started in studio gear. We started with preamps and microphones. Basically, the founder, True, started in his garage, Bryce Young, and he said, you know, he went through some recording, was unimpressed with budget recording equipment. Often they didn't include things like real transformers or, you know, quality capacitors or things like that. And he found out you could build one himself for a very good price, and there was a huge markup, right? So several years later, many product lines later, you know, what we've been able to do is go in and look at classic designs that are hard to get for whatever reason, whether it's that the current company doesn't want to build them like they used to, or margins have gotten crazy high. We try to make things accessible, you know. There are British style preamps out there that cost $3,800 to $5,500 new and $7,000 to $10,000 used. Or, you know, there's one we make for $799 using the same internal parts. So we've taken the same approach when we've come over to pedals. We've said, is this product accessible? Accessibility means a lot of things. Sometimes it's price. Sometimes it's location in major retailers. Sometimes it's both, you know. And yeah, that's our approach. The thing we do differently for sure than other companies, I'd say, one, we get asked a lot, you know, how do you do it? You know, sometimes we get pressed for parts and, you know, they'll say, how could you possibly do this? The other ones are expensive. You know, there are certain parts that there's no way you could get it at a certain price. And we get that on both sides. We get that on the pro side and the guitar side. But really what the big difference is we buy things in very large quantities and we commit to huge minimum order quantities and batches that boutique builders do not commit to. Often our minimum order quantities are in the 500 to 1,000 range, right? So we're, you know, imagine a boutique builder going in and saying, I will sell 3,000 of this pedal. You know what I mean? That's a huge risk for a small builder to take.
Sure.
And we are allowed to take that risk. And the difference is, you know, supply and demand, right? We get better prices on parts. So we do manufacture overseas. We don't hide that. We've never said that we make it in Texas. We manufacture overseas, and we do final quality check and assurance in Texas, or quality assurance in Texas. So we have, you know, musicians and engineers that pull every pedal out of the box, check it. And some of our pedals have even more arduous processes. Like, we'll get into that in a minute, but I can talk about the mutation phaser and the warm bender that need even more TLC to get out the door. But yeah, that's really what we do.
Okay.
And other thing I was going to say that's different is, you know, when you get into pedal topology, right, there are a lot of pedals out there that are like the original Zen Drive, that are like a tone bender, that are like, I mean, an ODD, what the ODD is based off of, you asked the Mike Fuller question, what is the original pedal based off of? Is it a unique design? Mm-hmm. Is it a Voodoo Labs pedal? Is it an MXR pedal? You know, so this world is kind of murky and dirty, and we're just a little bit unapologetic about what we're trying to deliver.
Well, how about you? Can you elaborate on what that actually is based off of for those that may not know?
The pedal that the ODD is based off of? Yeah. So, you know, there's been some, and, you know, the best we can do is a combination of chatter online and then opening up the circuit and looking at it. But the original Voodoo Labs Sparkle Drive essentially acts as cascading MXR distortion pedals with some tweaks, right? So the pretty widely accepted online for the folks that have opened up old school full tone pedals that there's sort of a hybrid between a cascading MXR distortion and a tube screamer with a switch on the front that lets you change bass response. So, you know, innovation in pedals, to call that pedal a innovation is tough. I think, to say that it's a brand new novel idea. When you talk about something like a Klon, there's some pretty innovative stuff in a Klon that's been used over and over. The charge pump voltage regulator, which again, not invented by Bill Finnegan, but an electronic principle from the folks at MIT he collaborated with, made the pedal very unique and interesting, right? You could call that a pedal invention, for sure. In the same way, like a super overdrive is a pedal invention that the tube screamer comes from. So things like that, basic pedal topology. So that's just a long-winded way of saying that a lot of these things are based on something. Even a tone bender, Mark I, is based on a Maestro fuzz, right? It's the same story as the Fender Bassman and Marshall. Got too expensive to bring Chicago-based fuzz pedals over to the UK, so people started building them in UK amp shops. So
yeah, and I love the idea that you're bringing up the topology of things and seeing where things are rooted from. And honestly, you can get hung up on, well, is that a copy or is this an interpretation? But the thing is like, we want all the pedals. It doesn't matter. And almost every time somebody's doing a little bit different, or if they're even keeping the electronics the same, maybe the user experience is a little bit different, or it's black instead of white, and I like black pedals instead of white pedals. Whatever. So we just appreciate that they're all out there. And one thing
totally,
I think it's worth pointing out that you hit all of the high points of how you guys do it and what you guys do, but we're looking at, well, at least if we were looking at this like a month or two ago, a couple of months ago, we're looking at pedals that are no longer made.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's what
at the time we released them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So original Zen Drive.
What are you looking for? Price?
No, I'm just saying like that. No, they're crazy expensive.
Oh, they are.
And that's kind of the thing. These are also pedals that if you try to buy the original, it's like, that's a commitment. Mm-hmm. So,
and even if you want to get down to like the nitty gritty on the drive, we got a little bit of flack when the Warm drive came out. And if you have to, I wish I should have kept mine. Actually not the same box. Some people try to do a side by side on a forum and they're not the same enclosure, to be honest with you. But some people, fair enough, right? We're like, well, you can still buy one of these online through Love Pedal, on the mailer. And again, that kind of speaks to accessibility. You cannot walk into a store and buy one. And, again, we've never been asked to stop making them. And the other thing too is that this is what we have perceived as a marketing team, especially when we launch a pedal. Again, almost always some level of controversy. It's the nature of what we do. When we want to deliver the authentic experience visually, is a really nice way of putting it. People will kind of get into how great the original sounds. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if more originals sell after we launch a product. And I know that might sound crazy, but I actually think we kind of rise the tide on some of these things because it gets chatter going again. I'm a firm believer that the type of customer who wants to go on an email newsletter and buy a hand-built pedal that will take 2 weeks to a month to arrive, or go on Reverb and put trackers out, or spend $500 or $1,000 is not the same customer that wants to jump on Sweetwater and spend $159 to $199 or walk into GC. I think it's a different person.
We talk about that all the time, man. Honestly, like, and in fact, there's an article out right now about some of the Gibson lines being like, they are copies of their old guitars, but they're almost as expensive. Mm-hmm. And if you can't afford a brand new actual Les Paul, then you're probably going to get an Epiphone. And granted, it's the same company, but but the point being made, or you're going to get something that like a Harry Benson or not Harry Benson. Wait, who's Harry Benson?
That would be Harley.
Harley Benson.
I like
Harry's
Harry
brother.
Benson.
Harley Benson. Harley
That's his
Benton.
brother.
Harley Benton.
Yeah, Harley Benson is his neighbor. What am I thinking?
Jimmy Benson.
This is great. I don't
was
think they're
nice.
going to be on the show anytime
Harry
soon.
Benson. We got to get him on the show. Yeah. Anyways,
Here's the thing, though. If you had released the ODD pedal and not paid homage to the cosmetics at all or the form or anything, but just said, hey, this is, since this is being made anymore, we're doing our own version, you would have got probably almost as much, flack from some purists, keyboard warriors out there, so.
100%. I mean, there were releases that got pulled. I won't name names, but there was a big company that made pretty obviously an OCD, and it's gone. They don't make it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've never played it. Sounds good or bad, but we're I know we're not excuse me. We're not trying to fool anybody. And like you just said, we actually kind of developed that ethos on the pro audio side well before we even got into pedals, because we had the same issue like going into NAMM. Like people would come up to your booth at NAMM. We'd have people say, yeah, I get that you make the Neve clone pre's, and I get you use the buttons, and I just see that you use the right transformers from Carnhill in the UK, but I want a Neve, man. Like I really want a Neve. And we tell them, go buy one. Like go do it.
Yeah.
Like if you have $7,000, go, dude. I would never come up to someone if they're like, dude, I really want a custom shop Les Paul, and my budget is $10,000, and should I get a standard? I go, if your budget's $10,000, go buy it, dude. Like if you can afford it, go do it. Why not?
or get 20 Harry Bensons.
Yeah, 200 Harry Bentons.
20. Yeah, 200 exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what custom shops go for these days, but I'm sure Gibson will let you spend $10,000 on a guitar. I'm sure they'll sell you something for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, what's your favorite pedal of your line? Because this is the whole line we have in front of us, guys.
It is, yeah. Man, I should have seen this one coming. So, it's close. The Mutation Phaser does a thing that none of my pedals do, like at all, even close. So it's my favorite one as a value add, because I have other phasers, but this one has a depth about it, and the feedback is just so three-dimensional.
And I hate to say
that
but it's warm. It sounds warm and lush.
Crazy.
It is, yeah. It's so low. Yeah, I keep the rate super low, and I keep the feedback. I play with feedback, and I keep the depth super mid to high, and it just thickens the tone in a way that's awesome. You know, so
cool. That's
pure sound. That one, I have to say, the Warm Bender is turning me a little bit, because as a fuzz person, I'm a op amp fuzz guy, and tone benders and op amp fuzzes are probably diametrically opposed in terms of how fuzzes are. But it's kind of making me a believer. It's making me a little bit of a believer in the old school germanium style fuzz. So
it does a thing for sure. I personally like the silicone setting on that one.
I do too, which is kind of funny.
I prefer a fuzz with a little bit more bite rather than a big Irish wool sweater.
Yeah, well said.
Okay, so
this setting,
which I'm
the
sorry,
middle
I'm
setting,
yeah, that's my favorite. The middle setting.
The middle, yeah, the NOS 75 setting is, to me, really marries well with a Les Paul. It really likes humbuckers. It likes unpotted humbuckers a lot. If you don't mind squeal. So yeah, that to me delivers a really interesting, authentic experience. 76 setting 1 does a thing. It's very like Brit punk kind of trash rock with almost ice picky, but not quite that abrasive. But it's a texture that, I could totally see myself doing a specific kind of song or part and reaching for it, but it's not going to be my kind of always on.
Yeah, it's sound. Like muddy rhythm to me. Yeah, that's what I got. Going into the Marshall, I really, when I was clicking, I was like, click, click, boom. You know, when I hit the seven and the silicone, it's just like it's got bite. I like that.
It does. Yeah. It borders on distortion in terms of like controllability. You know, it's fuzz distortion.
Well, actually, I will say that specifically with this tone bender, a lot of fuzzes you get, it's a fuzz. It's just what degree of fuzz do you want?
Right.
And this one, when you actually back off on the unit itself, you're not just stuck in fuzzland.
Adjustable.
It's really versatile. I guess surprisingly so. And it's built like a damn tank.
And what's the switch on the back too?
The sag switch.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the sag switch
Screen Actors
kind of
built.
mimics that thing. Yes. It's so when you click that, all the pedals will unionize. And when you unclick it, the unions break down.
You can't have that.
And no more movies are made.
Oh no!
Thank you for running with that. I thought it was just
flipping
dying
the
on
switch
the
back
vine.
and forth. And, oh god!
Yeah, you were just shutting on and off movie production across the globe. So
I'm sorry.
yeah. No. So the sag switch, when we were, so fun story. I'll take you back to when we wanted to start this pedal, and it kind of started as, hey, product management kind of came in. They were like, we want to do a tone bender. A lot of evidence that they're very popular. And I'm sort of the resident guitar nerd on the team. And I said, hold on. One does not simply make a tone bender. Tone benders are murky water into what the first one even is. You know, if you call it a Mark 1, you have no idea how long we did about the names of the settings.
Yeah.
Because it's like, call it a Mark 1. It's like, well, excuse me, that's a Vox Mark 1. It's not a Mercari. And we were like, dude, it's a big conversation to have.
Yeah.
So let's just say topology and power, make it simple. But the one thing we all agreed on was, wouldn't it be cool if we replicated that kind of star voltage sound from batteries dying or people, half plugging in their power supply to kind of make that kind of cutting out, kind of farting out noise.
Tony,
and that's what that does.
Got that
So
on him. There's a big switch.
The farting out? Yeah.
Is there a
The
switch
big
that you can
fart
put on
switch.
humans?
We can work on it. It could be our next project. But yeah, so basically it starves the voltage by like 33%, and it requires a little bit of, we have a fantastic onboard electrical engineer who figured out how to make it work the same for the 2 germanium settings and the silicon setting, because the silicon
That must have been an
transistors,
absolute feat. That probably took longer than
a
anything on
nightmare.
the pedal.
Well, unfortunately, poor guy Lucas, I was like, hey, can we just do this? And he's like, ugh, that's not that easy. I'm like, well, the early prototypes, the silicon setting sounded awful. Like, it didn't work. And he was like, well, yeah, dude, we have to change that. And I'm like, well, we got to find a way to make it work because it'll sound sweet. So we're happy with how it turned out. But yeah, when you roll the volume off, yeah, thanks, Lucas. When you roll the volume down, with a sag switch engaged, you kind of get to that like sort of like super choked, gated, compressed tone.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting and usable, especially if you have the attack way up and you're like driving a lot of gain in the pedal.
Mm-hmm. Super cool. And like I said, I think when I posted that, I said, which one do you? And it's like a lot of people were digging that thing.
Nice. Very cool.
So yeah, and you were talking about the mutation phaser too. I was so impressed with the build of that. I mean, wow, it's something to behold in your hand for sure. And it's, if nothing else, it's like that's just really good. Just own it for that. Just put it on your desk and make it look cool, even if you don't like to play the phaser stuff.
One thing that I'm very proud of that we do is that. When you hold some of these in your, I also have them on my desk right now as I'm chatting with you guys, and I'm holding the mutation right now, and it's like, save, I think the 102. These are like sub $200 pedals.
It's ridiculous.
So it's cool to deliver that experience to people that it's like, roughly our range is roughly 119 to 219 is the price of all the pedals. It's crazy. Like you can buy some pretty expensive, you can buy a $250 pedal that's in a very basic enclosure, So it's a fun aspect of it that we deliver, something that's unique and cool. So
yeah. And for if you were going to try to buy that, like at a guitar show or something, you're looking at $600 to $500 to $1,000, depending on like how good it is. If it works, if it's got the original, and some of them, I could be mistaken, but I could have sworn we run across at least one that they had the original DC plug replaced with.
You mean AC plug?
AC,
an
AC and
adapter?
DC. Well, it's both.
Yep.
AC, DC, whatever it takes.
Yeah. So they
Nice. Well done.
so you can plug it into anyways. So they converted it in some shape or form, and I don't know if that worked. But all these used ones are in like completely varying states of goodness. And
Yeah, I'll let you know a secret. The original ones
Super
weren't built
expensive.
very well.
No, they're not. But this
No.
thing is like,
I know.
it's crazy, and it's $150.
I get
Get
you.
out of here.
Yeah, we do. I mean, some things we're not like every time we make a pedal, it's going to be center negative 9-volt DC, right? Like we're not going to play around with that. It's just, it makes it easy, right? You want to be able to plug into it and use it anywhere,
Except one of these is 18 volt, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, two of them are the Ringer Bringer and the Fox
Bringer is.
or the Jet
Phaser.
Phaser.
Yeah. So the 9-volt is something that is going to change depending on the pedal, but no, center negative power supply just makes sense for everybody, in this day and age. But yeah, no, some of these pedals, it's interesting. Like we had that problem on the pro side too. We made a preamp called the WAMPX, which is based off the old Ampex 351 tape machine preamps. And while you could technically go on Reverb and find those, you actually have to buy a modded one because they were just literally hand wired in. So people have to pull them out, mod them for XLR and TRS. So again, there's some weird examples like these old, the Jet Phasers had the mounted power supply, like all the old school Roland Boss pedals, So again, just being able to provide a more usable power supply solution is huge, so that they'll actually incorporate with a normal pedal board.
Yep.
So let's talk about one of the more recognizable ones, the Foxy Tone Box. So I was surprised at how big that was. I've actually never seen an actual one in the wild. What? Why are you laughing at me, Rob?
I can't say it or you'll hit me.
Yeah. Anyways. Okay. So, I thought it was a smaller size pedal, and that's a big pedal. That's a big commitment.
Yeah, it's not small. I mean, the one thing that we do, we get a lot of feedback about this online too. Can you please make this pedal more pedal board friendly, right? And we've started to do that a little bit. The Mutation and the Warm Bender are examples of that, where we've said, sure, we could go with the exact enclosure, but we're not going to. But on some of the first pedals we started, we wanted to be as to the measurement as we possibly could be. So yeah, it's kind of jarring, right? How big it actually is.
Yeah.
Like especially in pictures online, it looks like it's going to be this little thing.
It really does.
And then it's like the size of an iPad mini, if they even still make those.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
Very cool pedal though. It does a thing for sure.
It absolutely does. And I did it with the power as well as the battery in it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I personally preferred the battery. I felt like it played a little differently. That may just be me. But
I mean, I'm not a battery or energy expert by a long shot, but I do know that, like, weirdly enough, our Centavo pedal, we had a bunch of people calling in right when we launched those, saying how awesome they sounded when the battery would start to die. So people were kind of like excitedly like only using battery power because they liked the way that pedal sounded when it would start to go. And I think something happens in guitar pedals where you have that sort of inconsistency of a battery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of how the power is supplied. So especially old school fuzzes, man, like these circuits are so primitive compared to newer, more updated circuits in terms of how they work. And you have weird effects like power supply making a bigger effect, rolling off the volume, especially with fuzzes. While it's not a hard and fast rule, you hear a lot that you want, especially old school germanium fuzzes, you want want it to be relatively first in the signal chain or early. You really want that guitar coupled to the pedal as much as possible. So I experienced that as well too, where I roll off tone and volume and the fuzz reacts very different, right, compared to some other pedals.
One of the things that brings up a big question is that, and I think, Rob, you probably deal with this more than anything, more than anyone in the world. Maybe. Well, hang on. So I built an amp, and I copied the blah, blah exactly. Okay, well, that's a problem, because that wasn't built right, or that wasn't up to snuff, or whatever, all those things. Des, can you talk a little bit about some of those things that you are taking into consideration? Like going back to the Foxy Tone Box, or even the Warm Bender. At what point do you say, hey, we need to take some modern liberties here, guys? Or is it, how closely are you trying to stick to that? Or are you just trying to get the right sound?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So there are some pedals where it's really easy. Easy is the fair enough word to deliver that sonic experience pretty damn close. And then there are some where you have to really rack your brain on how to get there. One good example I think is the Jet Phaser. Some of the settings on the Jet Phaser have drastic change in volume, and that is how the original pedals that we played and listened to and checked out sounded. And it was one of those things where we're like, this almost feels broken, like you're kind of like, this is weird. It's not like, I don't know if it's usable. And we decided to build it the way it was built. So we kind of rolled with the punches on that. And we were like, that's how it's going to be, right? Like if someone goes and buys a 78 Jet Phaser, and we want it to behave the same, So that's the approach that we've taken. Is
that
honestly
pedal is wild,
like mistakes and all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've done it on our preamps too. Like we get people, oh my God, every week someone is like, why aren't your inserts on your 73 preamps balanced? And we're like, cause the console preamps were unbalanced inserts. We get it. We get why you want it, but something about the integrity of the circuit we wanted to maintain. Mm-hmm. Another example of that is the Phaser 2 might be, so if in the Jet Phaser we kept it the same, the Phaser 2 is an example where we do kind of listen and think about modernizations, right? I think the most obvious one is in the enclosure. The original Mutron Phaser 2s are much bigger than this. And as we've built more pedals and as we've listened and really tried to quantify the feedback, I love the Jet Phaser. It's huge. It's a very big pedal.
Yeah. And the cord
really
and all that
gotta,
nonsense.
Well, yeah, you got to commit. That's a commitment. You know what I mean? So we did, first and foremost, compromise on the enclosure on the Mutation Phaser, because we were like, if we make this thing that big, we're going to have more people excited to use it if it's a little bit more pedal board friendly. And it's not small in the version that we made. It's not a mini by any means, but it's a significant size reduction.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost the size of an old Atari thing.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah.
It's a big daddy.
That's a good example. So with the Mutation Phaser on the inside of the pedal, these are one of those pedals where, early R&D, we, build them according to the schematic and get them back. And you realize that because of the optical unit, you have to calibrate them. and the calibration is finicky, right? Like if you don't individually calibrate every pedal, you end up with some wild differences pedal to pedal. So that's an example of where we've gone in and said, could we, so it's modulation, right? Like, could we go build a bucket brigade device or something like that, or use it? That's how a lot of modulation is accomplished. That's analog, but not, a little bit easier to use, right? Like op amp, IC based modulation. But we said, no, we want to do it with an optical unit and hand wired and all that. So it just takes more work on the, QC side of things. So, again, we probably could have compromised with a different type of device, but we were like, no, we're going to go in and calibrate them 1-to-1.
I think if you're looking at these boxes, I'm glad that we covered, because you might just say, well, it just looks like that. They're not good. They're going to cut every corner possible to make it cheaper or easier to mass produce or something like that. So I appreciate you actually clarifying that.
The two pedals that need the most extra help are the Phaser 2 and the Bender. And it's no fault. It's not a quality of materials thing. It's just on the Phaser, it's hand wiring with optical units for modulation requires calibration, and it's just a longer QC process. Mm-hmm. And the Bender, the way, we mentioned earlier, you asked kind of how do we do it? And the quantity that we've had to buy in the old germanium transistors, a lot of them fail the basic tests, right? Like for HFE and gain and, so the gain test and leakage and all that. So, the benefit of buying in that quantity is you get a good price. The bad part is that not all X thousand of the transistors are going to work.
Right.
So we have to test them 2 or 3 times before they go in a pedal. And then when the pedal gets tested as a unit, they can still have noise issues, and we may have to fix that too. So 2 pedals are honestly going through quite a process. So, it's not maybe what the internet or people believe in terms of built overseas, someone opens the box, rattles it around, and then it goes to Guitar Center. It's actually quite labor intensive on those 2 pedals.
Gotcha. The last thing that we want to ask you about before we round third and head home here is on the Centavo, which is actually true to form factor, even clone. Is that 2 things? Is that a full size clone box, or it's a mid size or a tiny size?
No, this is the same size.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that pedal is $179. What? Get out of here with that. But aside from that, there's something really interesting about this particular one, which is there's a modification engaging. So can you tell us about the modification for this, the mod switch?
Yep. So we would, in the development of the pedal, we would kind of jokingly call it the Jeff Beck mod. Famously, the Archer, J Rocket Archer, has a specific Beck version that kind of plays around with the lower mids and the low frequencies. Really, what it does for us practically is it sort of bonds more with longer scale guitars, 25-inch plus scale. So anything 25 and a half in baritone. It kind of moves. I want to say it technically, I wish Lucas were in my headset right now, but I believe it technically moves the high pass filter value.
Oh, wow.
On the inside. So you end up getting a little bit more compression, natural compression in some of the lower strings. You really would only hear it in the 5th and 6th string in a lot of cases, but kind of riff stuff. But it makes a big difference when you're on a short scale versus a longer scale guitar. It kind of makes the pedal sound a little bit more throaty. And especially when you turn the gain up, because, kind of true to the original pedal, not really getting diode saturation on the gain knob until you're at least 3/4 up.
Yeah.
And that's where I really hear the pedal. When you're using it more like a boost, it's a little less discernible. But when you're using the gain on the pedal, it's more obvious.
Yeah. Any of the clone factors that I play with, I don't even do anything until I get it at about that point.
Yeah.
I think I like it there.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people will also perceive that as like the mid hump on a Klon, right? Like it's in a different place than the Tube Screamer. Like they're both kind of. I don't call either of them transparent overdrives necessarily. I think they both have a mid range emphasis somewhere. Mm-hmm. I would argue that other things. Whenever you move a high pass filters can be resonant or not. And when a high-pass filter is resonant, that usually means that there's a little frequency right after. So I perceive it personally as the mid-range moving a little bit and the resonant frequency after the high-pass going down a little bit.
That's so much sexier than calling it transparent. I like it.
Yeah, well, it's not. The Klon is not a transparent. Even the original is not a transparent overdrive.
Yeah, silly people. Silly. Des, this has been an absolute treat talking about all these incredible pedals we have in front of us. I want to say thank you again for sending these and letting us experience them. And more than that, just playing around with them. Like, I feel like we really got a handle on what Warm audio is all about. And that's great because now we get to keep talking about it. Not right now. After, just as we move on in life.
Wow.
But right now, Tony.
Yes, Todd.
You're chomping at the bit.
I am chomping.
Wow.
Oh, I think I broke a tooth.
Set that up. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Yes, Todd, at this point of the show, there's a little game we like to play called Would You Rather?
Yeah. Anyways.
I knew you were going to do the NBC on that. I knew I knew you were going to NBC me on that. I was like, I know exactly what note he's going to hit at the end.
So we're all going to hop in the Subaru Brat.
Yes.
Once again.
Yes. We still have it on loan from Wooly.
Yes. Wooly's letting us borrow it with
a camper on the back.
Has a camper on the back and a salad bar.
Yes.
And there's something else. What else was there?
It was snowmobile tracks.
Oh, snowmobile tracks, yes. Which is appropriate because we're going to be driving on 9 up to Boston.
He's on the other line.
He's on the other line?
Hear you, Tony.
He can hear. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? So this part of the game, this is the fun part. And as much as I hate to admit, as much as I can't, the words aren't coming out of my mouth. We have a reappearance.
Oh, we do?
Oh, this is scary.
Okay.
It's frightening even. Perhaps you're familiar with Professor Squeaky Bellows?
Oh, Squeaky Bellows gave us a real turn the last time.
Well, since you've failed him miserably the last 2 times,
oh boy,
Professor Squeaky Bellows has grown increasingly angry and desperate.
Okay.
The mad scientist shows up at your gig, sneaks on stage with his accordion-based blow dart gun.
What?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
He's improved his delivery techniques.
Accordion-based blow dart gun.
You feel that familiar pinprick.
Oh, jeez.
And then everything goes black.
Uh-huh.
Once again, you wake up in his secret lair.
Wait, is there any more? Ah!
There'll be no more.
Okay.
For those of you who don't remember, including our guest Des.
Yes.
Professor
desperately looking for the exit.
Oh dear God! What have I gotten myself in? Keep the pedals. Just let me leave.
Go ahead.
Connection's pretty bad, guys. I'm losing you.
Professor Squeaky Bellows believes that accordion music is the only music that matters, and he has a master plan of destroying guitar music with his time machine.
Okay.
That's just to remind you. This time, he has decided to take aim at classic heavy metal and blues rock. In his twisted mind, he believes he can destroy guitar music by switching famous SG players with something a little different.
Uh-oh.
A banjo.
Oh, what?
Oh, no.
A banjo.
Okay, yeah, no, I heard that. I
think I know where this is going.
In order to help the mad scientist complete his mission and once again gain your freedom, you must take his time machine back and substitute a banjo for one of these famous SGs.
All right.
Option 1, for those who care, is back to 1967 when Eric Clapton bought his 1964 SG Standard, which was later painted as The Fool.
Uh-huh.
Or...
which ultimately went to
Todd Rundgren.
Yeah, and somebody else had that.
Well, somebody bought it again.
Yeah, okay.
It was resold.
Yeah.
When Todd sold it. Or option 2, back to 1971 when Angus Young bought his 1960s SG Standard.
Ooh, this is easy for me.
So just imagine now there's 2 ways to approach dealing with Professor Squeaky Bellows. You can either help him with his mission,
Yes.
which would mean you would want to have the most significant impact on the music,
Or thwart his mission.
or thwart his mission by
Yeah.
having less impact.
I love thwarting a mythin.
Thwart.
Okay, so Tony,
Man,
go ahead.
All right, I'm going to go first. I am going. Wow, yeah, this is tough between these 2. I just can't imagine banjos for either one.
No, but playing an SG is kind of like playing a banjo backwards. The neck dive is just crazy. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I think I'm going to have to go. I'm getting awfully tired of getting the pinprick, and there being no more.
Yes.
So
So you're going to help him out.
I'm going to help him. I'm tired of him showing up at the worst,
Okay.
inopportune times.
All right.
You understand. I think the biggest impact will be Eric Clapton.
You are lying sack.
Yeah,
No.
you're on crack.
No.
Are you out of your dang mind?
Yeah, he's lost his mind.
Cream was probably one of the most influential bands for latter-day classic rock and metal rock. Cream. So I think Cream with a banjo would have a greater impact. That's what I'm sticking with.
Can we have him
Okay.
committed?
Yeah. Rob, what are you doing?
Well, obviously, I'm going to sacrifice Cream because
Right.
obviously I'm not going to help Professor Squeaky Billows or whatever his name
Yes.
is. And, nope, sorry. Cream goes banjo.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that?
I'm
Yeah.
okay. Out
So
of those
you're-
2 choices, absolutely.
Wow.
You can't mess with Angus. Can't. Nope.
Well, that's why I didn't mess with Angus.
Well, you just said that you wanted to do.
No, he's
you were
helping.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I have lost my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, Des, what are you doing?
I think you guys are going to hate my answer, or you're going to hate why.
Go for it.
I'm giving the banjo to Angus Young, and I'm giving the banjo to Angus Young because Thunderstruck sounds sick on a banjo.
True dat.
That's the only reason. And I know they have other songs. I know they have whole other records, but no, Thunderstruck sounds dope on a banjo.
Yeah.
I don't think it hurts rock at all. I don't think rock gets hurt one bit.
You know what?
I think it survives.
That's some sound. That's some sage wisdom there, Des.
And think about the voice, right? Like that
Yeah.
band is never not rock. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's rock and roll. I think.
And then bringing in the bagpipes. Come on.
Bagpipes and banjo.
That's a good combo.
Here's a butterfly effect question though. If Thunderstruck is played with a banjo and there's bagpipes and all this stuff in AC/DC, do the Dropkick Murphys ever even form? I'm serious. Is that not an invalid question?
Wow.
Would they even happen?
And you're from Boston, so that's like religion.
Them's fighting words.
I don't know, man. I think they would be derivative if that was a real thing that came out in the 70s. They would be highly derivative.
Yeah. That's fair play. Fair play.
Listeners,
Yeah, maybe they'd
Give
sound
us your-
more like Big Country if they did.
give us your answer to that conundrum.
Wait, what about me?
Oh, Todd, go ahead.
All right, thanks.
No, I was going to say the conundrum of
Oh, yeah, that
would the
conundrum.
drop kick Murphys ever be formed?
Yeah, that is true. This is a very intriguing question, and Tony, you have a very valid point. It's hard for me to say that with the Cream.
Why don't you just pick?
You know what? I'm with Des on this one. I'm gonna sacrifice Angus.
Oh, I had you picked for Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Well, that one wasn't an option. If it was, I would have probably taken that. But anyways,
A lot of her guitar parts would have sounded great on a banjo too. Actually,
Absolutely.
I don't know if it would have hurt rock and roll at all.
no. Well, I'm glad that we have Dr. Roasty Fellows at Roasty Mellows.
No, Professor Squeaky Bellows.
Professor Squeaky Bellows at bay for a little while more. Anyways, thank you, Tony. We need to thank a few people and then say adios to our friend Des here.
That's right, Todd, because at this part of the show, there's a special group of people that we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Head over to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a friend, a sponsor, a hero of the podcast.
Yes.
Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win great prizes. But as an executive producer, there's one thing more. Jared, what would that be?
Have her name on the thing.
That's right, your name right on the thing. It's as if he was here in the room.
I should do that if he was eating a sandwich, because that's a whole different thing altogether. Anyways, go ahead.
That's true. So special thanks to these executive producers. Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, James White, Motander Guitars, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly from Rare Effects, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hammer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pampas, Trevor Ellenberg, Christopher Logan, and John Sebastian.
Yes, thank you.
But wait, Todd, there's more.
Yes.
Are you doing the echo thing? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. I like that idea. But there's a special group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs.
Indeed.
These are the creme de la creme, the top of the heap, the A number ones.
Yeah,
You agree?
I do.
Oh, I'm glad you do. They even have a fez that they wear upon their head whilst listening to the podcast. Mm-hmm. And at the same time. So extra special thanks to these Grand Poobahs: Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Casey Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Jerusik from 12th Hour Devices, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy, and Heather Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Von Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, Matt Hart, Enrico Fernando, Moon Guitars, Adam Johnson, Eric Edwards, David Tyndall, and Anthony Gemalero.
All right. Thank you guys so much for supporting our show. It means the world to us, and it keeps this thing afloat so we can keep being nonsensical week after week.
Yes.
We need to say a colossal thank you to Des for doing the show, sending us these awesome pedals, and being part of the thing that's making these awesome things.
Dude, I can't believe you're just going to read composer John Williams as one of your executive producers.
Yes, he is.
He hasn't been on the show
Yes,
yet?
he is. He loves it. He
What a
loves
miss,
this show.
guys.
He's a great benefactor, and everyone should follow
What a
suit.
miss. What a miss. And I hear he has real number 6 of the King of Tone pedal. So he's the real
He
deal.
just might.
He's the real deal. I made that up. That's going to be on the internet in 10 days.
Rumors abound.
Yeah. Anyways, glad you could join us.
No,
and,
thanks for having me.
You're welcome back anytime, even if you're not as a representative. Tell us about your pedals. You know, we love having people on to talk about stuff. So,
And where can people find these fine pedals?
Oh man, Warm Audio is all over the place. We're international. Pretty much any country in the world, you can find us. Your preferred online. So it's kind of funny. Like we're usually not supposed to say like what dealer because like we don't want to show favoritism. But they're probably at your favorite pedal dealer. That's what I can say.
There you go.
Online and in store.
They're most assuredly. And if you go to one of those that might for sure has it, you might get a little candy or something.
Ooh. Yeah, there might be candy there. There might be like a red sign out front. I don't know. Stuff like that. Places like that.
Places like that.
We love all of them.
Indeed. Well, let's see. Tony,
Yes.
Where can people connect with you?
Real easy. Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things I have available for purchase online. But, I do custom work, and that's what people want to do. And so just shoot me an email. Let me know what you're trying to do. I will take excellent care of you.
Perfect.
I guarantee it.
All right. Rob?
Mad Cow Amplification on Instagram,
Okay.
Facebook.
Hit him up with all the questions you have about amps, especially boutique amps and stuff. And
And wiring your own power supplies.
Yes.
Sure.
You can shoot me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. Better yet, you can shoot me a DM at Guitar Knobs on Instagram. That's where
I
we
love
do
that
most
idea.
of our stuff. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what's going on in your life, what you like about the show, what you hate about the show, et cetera, et cetera. And if you have any of the pedals that we've in the aforementioned pedals, tell us what you think of them. We'd love to hear that too. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fun time. We look forward to the next fun time. Hope you have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe.
What was that?
I don't know. Hey, speaking of Rob, who hates
Todd?
everyone and everything.
No,
That is not entirely.
No, it's
Todd
it's a
projecting.
generalization that we use, for this. This is go ahead and introduce yourself, Rob.
Hi, I'm Rob.
Yeah, that's about how it goes. Rob from Mad Cow Amplification.
You know what's completely true?
There was one called Anatone.
Yep,
That was
familiar.
up in Chicago, and I think they're out of business. And then there was another one.
I love getting Anatone for Christmas. Goes so good with like champagne.
That would be Panatone.
Oh, sorry. Anyway,
Hey, I'm Italian. No Italian jokes.
gentlemen, do you have anything that you need to take care of? Tony, you got to drop a deuce or anything again?
Nah, I'll just do it in my pants.
All right, perfect. Well, the other
Voice.
brontosaurus we got over here is Tony.
I am not. I think you should call me a T-Rex.
Tony Dudzik.
Hey.
Des, are you ready?
I'm ready.
He's like,
I'm ready.
I'm ready to get off this damn show.
Are we done yet?
No.
As they say in France, mercy boo cups.
Yeah, Mercy Boo Cups.
Them all up right in front of
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.